Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangscha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Stotra Sutta Sri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Stotra Sutta Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we shall read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, Pure Devotional Service, Text 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Na Jatu Martyo Bilabeta Yas Tu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Swasan Chavo Yas Tu Na Veda Gandam Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Na Jatu Martyo Bilabeta Yastu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Shwasan Chavo Yastu Naveda Gandam Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangri Renum Najatu Martyo Bilabeta Yastu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Shwasan Chavo Yastu Naveda Gandam Jivan while living Shava a dead body Bhagavata Angri Renum the dust of the feet of a pure devotee Na never Jatu at any time Martya mortal Abilabeta particularly received Ya a person to but Shri with opulence Vishnu Padya of the lotus feet of Vishnu Manuja a descendant of Manu a man Tulasya leaves of the tulsi tree Swasan while breathing Shava still a dead body Ya, who, to, but, Naveda, never experienced, Gandham, the aroma. Translation. A person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Please repeat. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the breathing dead body is a ghost. When a man dies, he is called dead. But when he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to our present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. There's more to the purport, but I'll speak now. Some years ago, there was a movie called Ghosts, and His Holiness Bhakti True Swami Maharaj told me about it, and he was of the opinion that the people who made the film must have read Srila Prabhupada's books, Srimad Bhagavatam, because of how they depicted the ghosts. Now, how does one become a ghost? Generally, if one commits suicide, he becomes a ghost, because in effect, when one commits suicide, one is saying one doesn't want to have a body. So one does not get a gross body. But generally people commit suicide because they have strong material desires, which are frustrated, and out of disappointment they commit suicide. So they have gross material desires, but they don't have a gross physical body through which to fulfill their desires. And therefore ghosts try to gain possession of someone who has a gross body. Another way a person can become a ghost is if one is very attached to one's place of residence, and at the time of death thinks of one's palace or castle, and then dies. So you can't take birth as a castle. It's not one of the forms of life. But you can take birth as a ghost in that castle. And therefore there are many mansions and palaces and castles that are haunted. And usually these properties are sold for a less price because they're haunted. And Srila Prabhupada said we can buy such properties for a low rate because they're haunted, and then we can perform kirtan and the ghosts will go away and we'll have a good property for Krishna. So, yeah, devotees have done that. So in this movie there's one scene that it just illustrates how ghosts have material desires, but they don't have the body with which to fulfill them. In one scene in the movie, and I happened to see the movie on a flight. It was shown on a flight. So the ghost is on the railway platform, and he wants to have a cigarette. And there's a vending machine that sells cigarettes. And like he's banging on the vending machine to try to get some cigarettes, but he can't because he doesn't really have a gross physical body, so he's very frustrated. Sometimes ghosts can temporarily influence our thinking. Srila Prabhupada had a disciple who said to Srila Prabhupada that, sometimes my mind has thoughts that I ordinarily would never think, just like unthinkable thoughts. Could it be that I'm like temporarily being possessed by a ghost or influenced by a ghost? Srila Prabhupada said, yes, that could be the case. So, when a man dies, he is called dead. But when he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to our present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghost-like non-devotees who have no respect for the pure devotees, nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples, create a fearful situation for devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offering by such impure ghosts, meaning non-devotees. The Lord does not accept offerings from non-devotees. There is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments for the beloved. Now there's a saying, love me, love my dog. There is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiments for the beloved. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. So the idea is that the pure devotee is like the dog. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said that the neck beads we wear are like our dog collars. So the first condition of devotional service to the Lord is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee. And this condition is fulfilled by the statement, reception of the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee, who has also served another pure devotee. That is the way of pure disciplic succession, or devotional parampara. So, one becomes a pure devotee by serving another pure devotee, who in turn has served another pure devotee, and that is the parampara system. I try to serve Srila Prabhupada. He served his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He served his Guru Maharaj, and all the way back to Krishna. That's parampara. Maharaj Rahugana inquired from the great saint Jad Bharat as to how he had attained such a liberated stage of Paramahansa. And in answer, the great saint replied as follows. Srimad Bhagavatam 5:12-12. Rahuganai tat tapasanayati nache jaya nirvapanad grihadva na chandasanai vajalagni suryayar vina mahatpada rajobhishekam. O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service, or the Paramahansa stage of life, cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of a great devotee. It is never attained by tapasya, austerity, the Vedic worshipping process, acceptance of the renounced order of life, or the discharge of the duties of household life, the chanting of the Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun, within cold water, or before the blazing fire. So, Mahat Pada Rajo. Mahat means great soul or pure devotee. Pada means feet. Rajo means dust. And Abhishekam, it means to actually bathe yourself in the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee. And there's a similar verse in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hiranyakashipu had asked Prahlad how he had become such a great devotee of Vishnu, and he replied, Naishamatistavaru kramangrim srishatyanartha pagamo yadartha mahiyashan padarajo bhishekam niskinchananam navranitayavat. That one can become a pure devotee only by uh, bathing oneself in the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee. And you don't have to worry about that, my dear father, because you're too proud. You'll never bow down to the feet of a pure devotee. And in that verse, Naishamati Matistavad Arukramangrim Sprishat Yanartho Agata Yanartho, that the by the dust of the feet of the pure devotee, one is freed from all anarthas. So yeah. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami mentions three very powerful substances, and that is the dust of the feet of a pure devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a pure devotee, and the remnants of food that have been left by a pure devotee. And Kaviraj Goswami says that these three substances are very powerful. In other words, Lord Sri Krishna is the property of his pure, unconditional devotees. And as such, only the devotees can deliver Krishna to another devotee. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Srila Prabhupada illustrated this principle vividly when we were in Madras. He was invited by the Chief Justice of the High Court of Madras for a program in which he addressed many judges and lawyers. And he spoke about the six Goswamis, how they had given up everything to join the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and although they were so exalted in human society, and so Srila Prabhupada was encouraging them, they should also join the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After the program, the Chief Justice invited Srila Prabhupada and the devotees to his home, and there he presented Srila Prabhupada a silver figurine of Krishna, and some other items, a sandalwood garland. And so Srila Prabhupada illustrated the six Goswamis' mood of separation by holding the little silver figurine of Krishna up, and then addressing Shamsundar and Malati's daughter, who was just, I don't know, maybe 3 years old, 4 years old. So he held this little statue, and he said, "Who is this?" And she said, "Krishna." Then Srila Prabhupada hid the Krishna behind his back, and then he said, "Saraswati, where is Krishna?" And she became very panicked, like, "Where's Krishna? Where's Krishna?" She's looking everywhere, looking at all the devotees, looking around the room, and she couldn't find Krishna, and she was really in anxiety. And again, Srila Prabhupada said, Saraswati, where is Krishna? And again, she started looking and feeling very anxious. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And then Saraswati's mother, Malati, said, Saraswati, who has Krishna? And then Saraswati's eyes opened wide and her face lit up, and she said, Prabhupada has Krishna. And then she went running up to Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada took out the Krishna from behind his back. So, it is said here, Krishna is the property of his pure, unconditional devotees, and as such, only the devotees can deliver Krishna to another devotee. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Lord Chaitanya therefore designated himself as Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasadas Anudasa, or the most obedient servant of the servants of the Lord who maintains the Gopi damsels of Vrindavan. This is our actual identity. Yeah, Lord Chaitanya said, I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Sudra, I'm not a Brahmachari, I'm not a Grihastha, I'm not a Vanaprastha, I'm not a sannyasi. Then what are you? Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasa, the servant of the servant of the servants of Krishna, who maintains the gopis of Vrindavan. A pure devotee therefore never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servant of the Lord's servant. And thus the Lord becomes pleased. And only then can the devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaves stuck to his lotus feet. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of the Vedic literatures, but he is very easily approachable through his pure devotees. Yes. Vedeshu Durlabha, very difficult to attain through study of the Vedas. Vedeshu Durlabha, Adurlabha Atma Bhakta, but very easily approached through the devotees. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of the Vedic literatures, Vedeshu Durlabha, but he is very easily approachable through his pure devotees. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of... Yes! Very good. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is a tender-hearted, feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotee. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. Yes, in Varsana they have a saying that whatever Radha does, Krishna likes, and whatever Radha likes, Krishna does. So if Radharani recommends someone, then Krishna will accept the person. The mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. The conclusion is, therefore, that one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly. And by one's doing so, by the goodwill of the devotee, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. So, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai. Love of Krishna is eternally situated within the heart of the living entity, and it is awakened by the association of pure devotees, by hearing and chanting in the association of pure devotees. So, yes, so I'll just read the translation again so we can put everything that we've heard in the perspective of the verse. Translation. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. There's a series of verses here in which Shukadeva Goswami says, in effect, that without Krishna consciousness, one is as good as dead, because Krishna consciousness or devotional service is the life of the living entity, and without devotional service or Krishna consciousness, he's as good as dead. So, the person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. So, yeah. So Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudasa. This is our actual identity. And when we act in our constitutional position, Jive Swarupai, Krishna and Nityadas, we are happy and satisfied, and we cannot be happy or satisfied by any other means, certainly not by any material means, mental or intellectual, but only by devotional service. Hare Krishna. So thank you for listening so patiently and attentively. And now if any of you have any questions or comments or reflections, you can raise your hand. Yes, there's a question here. Can we give him the microphone?
Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for very nice class. And I just thinking that you mentioned that we need to get the dust of the pure devotee to get purification or becoming free from all the unearths. So my question is that actually practical life, like we are serving as a brahmachari and temple, and we are doing service of the under the senior devotees and all the Guru Paramparas. So you directly got Prabhupada and you serve him, you got his dust and everything, and now all of you are become so pure and you are also purifying us. So in that whole life that you cross as a brahmachari to now sannyasi and preaching all over the world, so in that how like we are struggling sometimes to keep mind in Krishna consciousness and serving fully to the Gurudev and all the senior Prabhus. So mind is really not so pure still now and not free from unearths. So what is your suggestion for us or for me that how can I really do that service, like get that raja from the pure devotee?
My first advice would be to chant the holy names attentively. Our japa is, you could say, the foundation of our devotional service. And in one purport in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada writes that of all the instructions of the spiritual master, the instruction to chant a minimum of 16 rounds is most essential. But there's a quality to the chanting in the prayers of Queen Kunti. In one purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that it is said in Scripture that by chanting the holy names of the Lord, one can become free from the reaction to more sins than he can commit. And Srila Prabhupada says there's no exaggeration to such statements, but it is a question of the quality of the chanting. And if one chants in great material satisfaction, he cannot chant with such feeling. But only one who is a kinchana, who has no material possessions, or we could say who has no sense of false proprietorship, he can chant with genuine feeling. So if you chant with genuine feeling, Cheto Darpano Marjanam, your heart will be purified, and you'll take pleasure in chanting and serving the devotees. The mind will wander, and as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, whenever and wherever the mind wanders, you have to bring it back under the control of the self. So the mind will wander, and we have to struggle. We may have to struggle to bring it back. But that fight has to be fought. We can't just surrender and let the mind go wherever it wants. So, I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yes, in the front here.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Maharaj, personally speaking, like I have the desire to serve the pure devotees, but then there is another factor which comes in mind is, am I pure enough? Am I qualified enough to serve such pure devotees? So what should be our mood at that time? Should we first qualify ourselves and then desire to serve, or should we desire to serve and then uh, in the process we'll get a chance to serve the pure devotees?
How would you propose to qualify yourself?
Like Maharaj, we think that there are other devotees who can serve, for example, can serve you or serve the pure devotees better than us. So that thinking, it keeps us back.
I mean, it's in your interest to serve the pure devotees, so you should do it. I don't see any question of not doing it. And in the process, if the devotee might detect some defect in you, some deficiency in you, and then the devotee might point it out, and that would also be beneficial for you because you can see where you need to improve, what you have to work on to be better or do better. Deferring to others to serve the pure devotee is also okay. If you serve them, serve the servants of the servant, if you serve them and support them and encourage them who are serving the pure devotee, that's also bona fide. But not that I'm too impure to serve the pure devotee, let others serve the pure devotee, and I'll just stay at home and eat and sleep. But serve directly or indirectly.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Maharaj, you were mentioning in like while you were narrating that everything about the ghosts. One thing that came up was a devotee who was having certain bad thoughts, and Srila Prabhupada said that you're probably possessed by a ghost because it could be that the bad thoughts are coming from there. Psychologists actually usually also suggest, like one of the advices that I've often read when it comes to just thoughts, and it's usually worded as "you are not your thoughts." So I just wanted your point of view on like how to think about this, because often as devotees, as people who are trying to progress on our spiritual journey, sometimes, at least especially it happens with me, where I would have certain thoughts and then I would like question my own goodness or if I am on the right path. So just wanted your point of view on if that's the right way to think about it, like not identify with one's thought, and if that is, then how to just navigate that.
Yes, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So when it's thinking favorably of Krishna, then it's your best friend. But when it's thinking otherwise, then it can be your worst enemy. But higher than the mind is the intelligence. And the mind, like sometimes it's been said that the mind is like a library that has many books. And the intelligence is like the person who decides which book to take off the shelf. So many things might pass through your mind, but you can't pay heed to all of them. But you can pay heed to the ones that are favorable to Krishna consciousness. Yeah.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yadubara Prabhu? Yes, and then two more.
Maharaj, when we speak about the dust of the lotus feet, and are we speaking only of the physical dust, or can we assume that it's something else that can be had other than the dust from the...
I'm glad that you brought that up. I usually mention it, but in this case I neglected to, that although sort of there in the purport, that serving the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee really means to follow his instructions. The actual dust, we may or may not have that opportunity, but we all have the opportunity to serve the instructions, and that would be the real meaning of, serving the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee. Although I must say I was fortunate in Srila Prabhupada's last days, when he was lying on his bed in Vrindavan, I got to massage his lotus feet, and I actually felt these little dust particles. It was just magnified, and this is the dust of the lotus feet of the pure devotee. So that was very special. But generally it means to follow the instructions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello, okay. Yes, thank you for your talk. While you were speaking, it reminded me of something that I was reading in the Bhagavad Gita, which was that a student should be so faithful towards their master that the master does not call them to eat that day, that they simply fast. And for me, I mean, it was explicitly stated that that was all about faith. And I wanted to hear your thoughts about what the insight is to gain that level of faith. Because I find that in my own practice, part of what diverts my mind is just a questioning of, okay, no, is that really the right thought to be having? No, you got to think about it this way. Or, kind of this constant engagement that I have, questioning my own faith.
You mean you're questioning your thoughts about what you're reading, or in general?
Kind of like it's exploring my faith and trying to feel at peace with just the process and submitting to the process, because I feel like when people say faith and surrender, they're very closely related. But I was wondering what the insight was to have that level of faith, because I'm constantly questioning, like, am I doing it right? I don't feel so able to surrender to that degree.
Well, everything begins with faith, ado shraddha. Ado shraddha, tatadu sangha, first faith and associate with devotees. Ado shraddha, tata sadhu sangha, tata bhajana kriya, then associating with devotees, you engage in devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada says at that stage you accept a spiritual master and take initiation. So ado shraddha, tata sadhu sangha, tata bhajana kriya. Then anartha nivritti. The anarthas are eradicated. Not 100%, but say 75%. Then anartha nivritti. Then nishta, then you become very steady. Then ruchi, then you develop real taste. And then ashakti, attachment. Those are the 7 stages in sadhana bhakti, and then comes bhava, and then prema. So, faith is most important. In fact, the different stages of development of bhakti are just different phases of the development of faith. It's all the same substance, but just more condensed. And yeah, there are many nice verses and purports about faith. And faith develops by hearing and applying what you hear or read. And then when you get the result, your faith will increase. And faith also develops by associating with devotees who have faith. And by their association, you'll also get more faith. And attentive chanting, that will help, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, clear the dirty things from the mirror of the mind. And Srila Prabhupada says the first dirty thing is identifying with the body. And so, in a way, lack of faith is related to identifying with the body. So, yeah, chant well, read, apply, try to apply what you read. And, doubting your following is okay. Like once in Bombay, Srila Prabhupada asked me to give a talk in his presence, short talk. And afterwards, I felt I could have done better. And so I mentioned that to Srila Prabhupada. And he said, well, it's all right to think that you could have done better in terms of what you said, but you should not think that you could do better in terms of the subject. So, stay faithful to bhakti yoga, and practice, associate with devotees who have faith, and your faith will increase.
Is anartha doubt? I'm not familiar with that phrase.
Oh, anartha. Anartha means, literally, artha means something that you want, and so anartha means something you don't want. So anartha refers to unwanted thoughts, unwanted desires, unwanted patterns of behavior. Yeah.
Thank you.
Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, you were mentioning regarding Srila Prabhupada telling regarding the mansions who were haunted by the ghost. Like nowadays, like when we see somewhere like the house is being haunted by ghosts or something, when we see in our communities that a house is being haunted by a ghost or some person is being haunted by a ghost, then generally, in lots of cases, uh, people tend to refer to the different tantrics or different devotee in the astrological field. And this case study of Srila Prabhupada, like doing Sankirtan in the mansion, or suggesting devotees to do Sankirtan, is being refuted by the argument is being given is that that there is a that for that holy name has to be on the Namabhas or Shuddh Nam for actually to drive away the ghost. So how to understand this Srila Prabhupada's statement? Because nowadays there are so many references of the devotees going to the tantric or astrologers for such things.
Well, on occasion I felt like I was being attacked by a ghost, and I would just chant loudly, and the ghost would go away. So that chanting, I guess, like Ajamil at the time of death. He saw the Yamadutas and he became panicked, and his son Narayan, to whom he was very attached, was nearby, and in a state of anxiety and fear and helplessness, he called the name of Narayan, meaning his son. And that was considered to be namabas. So, yeah, if someone is being attacked by a ghost or haunted by a ghost, you should chant loudly. Yeah, I myself have never resorted to any other approach to dealing with ghosts, just loudly chanting the holy names, and it's always worked for me.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So my question is like we understand we have to perform anyone say 9 devotional service to attain the pure devotional service. Like we have 9 like Shravanam Kirtanam.
Sorry?
Shravanam Kirtanam.
Yeah.
So there are 9 stages of
9,
9.
yes.
And by today's verse we understand without the mercy we cannot attain the pure devotional service.
Yes.
So how, as a practicing devotee, we should balance, because the 9 is more of a personal, our own endeavor. And here the shloka talks about the mercy. So how we should balance, or what is more important while we are performing our devotional service?
Well, the 9 processes of devotional service, as stated by Prahlad Maharaj, Navavidhi Bhakti, can all be, not just can all be accompanied by prayers for mercy, but they should be accompanied by prayers for mercy. We can't do anything without mercy. So yeah, we hear, but at the same time we pray for mercy. We chant, but at the same time we pray for mercy. So mercy is essential at every stage. We make our effort to follow the instructions of Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru, but we also pray for mercy to be able to progress. Yes?
Maharaj. So I had a similar question in regards to devotional service. So the 9 forms of devotional service, for Kali Yuga, it's recommended to do chanting. But if we focus on any other form of devotional service more than chanting, like deity worship, will that help us advance in Krishna consciousness, or is chanting recommended because it's Kali Yuga?
Well, yes, Srila Rupa Goswami has enumerated 64 items of devotional service in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And he says that of the 64, 5 are most potent, and that by even a slight association with any one of them, one can awaken dormant love for Krishna. So the 5 are Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtana, Bhagavat Shravana, Mathura Vasa, and Murti Sharanvita Sevana. So Sadhu Sangha means associating with advanced devotees. Nama Kirtana, chanting the holy names. Bhagavat Shravana, hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathura Vas, residing in Mathura or Vrindavan or and, but also temples where Vishnu or Krishna is worshipped also count in that way. And Murti Sharanvita Sevana, to serve the deity with faith and veneration. So those are the 5 most potent forms. And very few devotees can only chant Hare Krishna. They need varieties of engagement. So if we engage in these varieties, then we can, progress in Krishna consciousness in Kali Yuga. But the chanting should be there. Yeah. When you associate with advanced devotees, you chant. When you worship the deity, there's chanting that goes along with the deity worship. When you reside in Mathura, you chant. Chanting is there with everything.
Krishna, Guru Maharaj. So on the subject of being blessed by a pure devotee, by serving a pure devotee, you said that we should aim to serve directly or indirectly, but in that indirectly, if someone is serving a person who's not being like blessed by the pure devotee, or I mean to say that maybe he's not very qualified, or I would say not really pleasing the spiritual master, and I'm serving that person, then will I get that result even if I'm like indirectly serving a pure devotee?
It would depend on why you're serving that person. I mean, if the pure devotee has told you to serve that person, then even if that person is not pure, you'll still benefit, you'll get the mercy of the pure devotee. But if you were not specifically instructed to serve that person, maybe you could look for a better devotee to serve.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Just an extension of that question, I wanted to understand who is a pure devotee or who is an advanced devotee, because I think in our journey of bhakti, all of us have some or the other anarthas, and we tend to have some or the other faults. So how do we identify? Because we ourselves are not pure.
There are different definitions of pure devotee, but the basic definition would be someone who engages in devotional service not to get any return, either in the form of material benefit or impersonal liberation. Once someone asked Srila Prabhupada, how many pure devotees are there in the world? And Srila Prabhupada replied, how many devotees are there in ISKCON? And he also explained, he gave the example of a mango, that an unripe mango and a ripe mango are both mangoes. So a pure devotee can be in the unripe stage, and in that case there might be a little hardness or sourness, but that same mango, if it stays attached to the tree, will ripen, and then it will be soft and sweet and juicy. So they can all be considered pure devotees, but some may be at a more immature stage of being a pure devotee, and some at a more mature or ripened stage.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Tender Pranam. Guru, now there are two things. One person practicing devotee, having some anarthas, and one person is having not the pure intention. How to identify whether the person is practicing with a pure intention but having anarthas that are visible, or the intentions are not pure? There's very subtle difference maybe there.
Well, I mean, how do you judge anything? You use your intelligence. I mean, Srila Prabhupada did say that there will be people who enter the movement who will look like the devotees and act like the devotees, but they actually have some ulterior motive. So that could happen. Oh yeah, but then again, we might not know. So we sort of have to give everyone a chance. But then if we feel they're really here to exploit and not to serve, then we have to deal with them in such a way that they can't take advantage of the movement to our detriment. But if we don't lose, then we also don't mind. Like during the first Delhi Pandal, a lot of politicians were like coming on stage and introducing Srila Prabhupada, praising Srila Prabhupada. And one devotee mentioned to Srila Prabhupada that they're doing it, but they just want to become popular with the voters who are in the Pandal. And Srila Prabhupada said, if someone takes advantage of us and we don't lose, we don't mind. Yeah, we're not envious. So.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Sorry. So I just wanted to ask. I just wanted to ask Maharaj that how we can transcend the bodily conception of life and be really situated in the position of being in relation of being surrounded of the Lord, moment to moment basis, because it's little difficult every time to remember this thing, and sometimes because how to situate in that position.
Well, first is chanting attentively and reading. And Srila Prabhupada specifically mentioned deity worship, that when you engage in deity worship, you confirm that you're not the body. So, yeah. Just, I thought of it in relation to your question, but it could also relate to that other question about feeling unqualified. Srila Prabhupada said in the material world, I think he gave the example like to sit on the bench of the high court, you have to be qualified first. But in Krishna consciousness, you take the position and then you become qualified. So, yeah. Because Krishna helps, he helps you along the way. Yeah. We're not alone. Yes.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Well, just like ISKCON is a big society, and like any society has to deal with the land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So, like ISKCON also has to deal. So, my question is that whether pure devotees in ISKCON can have different agendas, like and while they are, let's say, like doing their course of duties or giving, or I mean, discourse or whatever, can they have different agendas and pure devotees? And no, what is the test like in the sense like that agenda can be of Krishna also, and that agenda can be personal agenda. So what is the like deciding factor in that? Can there be agendas, and when what can be the deciding factor?
Well, pure devotees can have different agendas in the sense that they want to further different aspects of the Krishna consciousness movement, which is fine. That's their individuality. But as far as personal agenda, what do you mean by personal agenda?
Not directly in the let's say seven purposes of ISKCON. I mean, this is something which is coming into my mind as of now.
But it's related to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, it may be related to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. I think that's okay. I mean, there are new technologies that didn't exist when Srila Prabhupada wrote the 7 purposes of ISKCON. Like today I met Raghunath Das and he does podcasts. So when Srila Prabhupada wrote the 7 purposes of ISKCON, we didn't have podcasts. But still the podcasts can be used to further the 7 purposes. Not sure if I answered your question.
It's answered. It's answered. Thank you.
Okay. All right, my dear devotees, thank you again for listening so patiently and attentively. As we've been doing the previous nights, I'll be signing books in the courtyard if any of you want to get any of my books. And look forward to meeting you again soon. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.